September 2nd, 1945. Tokyo Bay, Japan. Aboard the USS Missouri, representatives of the Empire of Japan prepare to sign documents that will end the deadliest conflict in human history. After 6 years of global warfare, after more than 70 million deaths, after cities reduced to ash and entire nations transformed, the world is about to witness the formal end of World War II. This is VJ Day, Victory over Japan Day. The moment that brings closure to a war that reshaped civilization itself. But the story of this day begins not here, in this moment of surrender, but months earlier, in the darkest decisions ever made in warfare. This is the story of how the world's most devastating war finally ended, the price paid for peace, and the new world that emerged from the ashes. By the summer of 1945, Japan's situation is hopeless. American forces have island-hopped across the Pacific, capturing Iwo Jima in March and Okinawa in June. Battles that cost over 100,000 lives combined. The Japanese home islands are now within striking distance. American B-29 superfortresses rain destruction on Japanese cities. Night after night, incendiary bombs create firestorms that consume entire urban centers. The firebombing of Tokyo on March 9th to 10th alone kills an estimated 100,000 people, more than either atomic bomb will claim. Yet Japan's military leadership refuses to surrender. The concept of death before dishonor runs deep in the imperial military culture. Plans are underway for Operation Ketsugo, the defense of the home islands, where civilians, armed with bamboo spears, are expected to fight to the death alongside the military. American planners prepare for Operation Downfall, the invasion of Japan itself, scheduled for November 1945. Casualty estimates are staggering, possibly 500,000 American dead, millions of Japanese casualties. The bloodbath at Okinawa, where Japanese forces fought with suicidal determination, offers a grim preview. President Harry S. Truman faces an impossible choice. Newly in office after Franklin Roosevelt's death in April, he must decide whether to use America's most closely guarded secret, the atomic bomb. 3 years of research, $2 billion, and the work of 130,000 people have produced a weapon unlike anything in history. August 6th, 1945. 8:15 a.m. Hiroshima. A single B-29 bomber, the Enola Gay, releases a uranium bomb nicknamed Little Boy. 43 seconds later, at 1,968 feet above the city, it detonates with the force of 15,000 tons of TNT. Somber tone. In an instant, the center of Hiroshima ceases to exist. A ball of fire hotter than the surface of the sun incinerates everything within a mile. The blast wave flattens buildings across 4 square miles. Between 70,000 and 80,000 people die instantly. By year's end, the death toll will reach 140,000. There was a flash, brighter than 1,000 suns. Then everything was darkness and fire. People walked like ghosts, their skin hanging from their bodies. We had entered hell. The Japanese military leadership convenes, but even this unprecedented devastation does not produce immediate surrender. Some argue it is propaganda, others that America cannot have many such weapons. The debate continues. August 8th, the Soviet Union, honoring its promise to the Allies, declares war on Japan and launches a massive invasion of Manchuria. Over 5 million Soviet troops pour across the border, crushing the Japanese Kwantung Army. Japan's strategic situation collapses completely. Nagasaki before bombing, Boxcar aircraft, August 9th. 11:02 a.m., Nagasaki. A second bomb, Fat Man, a plutonium device, obliterates Nagasaki. Another 40,000 die instantly, 70,000 by year's end. The message is clear. America can continue this destruction indefinitely. Inside the Imperial Palace, Japan's Supreme War Council is deadlocked. 3 members support surrender. 3 oppose it. The debate rages through the night of August 9th. Military hardliners argue for continuing the fight, insisting that even defeat with honor is preferable to surrender. Finally, for the first time in modern Japanese history, Emperor Hirohito directly intervenes. In a voice trembling with emotion, he declares his decision. Japan must endure the unendurable and surrender. The decision is unprecedented. The emperor, considered divine, speaking to end a war his nation cannot win. August 15th. The emperor records a surrender announcement, the first time most Japanese citizens have ever heard his voice. His words are formal, archaic, delivered in classical Japanese that many struggle to understand. But the meaning is unmistakable. The enemy has begun to employ a new and most cruel bomb. Should we continue to fight, it would result not only in the ultimate collapse of the Japanese nation, but also the total extinction of human civilization. Across Japan, the reaction is one of stunned disbelief. Some military officers refuse to accept surrender. A group of young officers attempts a coup to prevent the broadcast. They fail. In the days that follow, hundreds of officers commit seppuku, ritual suicide, rather than accept defeat. For Allied prisoners of war, held in brutal conditions across the Japanese Empire, the news brings overwhelming relief. After years of starvation, disease, and torture, they will finally go home. Many are so weakened they will not survive to see liberation. Dawn over Tokyo Bay, impressive shots of Allied fleet. September 2nd, 1945. Tokyo Bay. Over 250 Allied warships fill the harbor, the greatest concentration of naval power ever assembled. At the center, riding at anchor, is the USS Missouri, a brand new battleship chosen to host the surrender ceremony. On the battleship's deck, preparations are complete. A simple table covered with green cloth. Documents prepared. Chairs arranged. Representatives from the Allied powers gather. American, British, Chinese, Soviet, Australian, Canadian, French, Dutch, New Zealand. Japanese delegation arriving. At 8:55 a.m., the Japanese delegation arrives. Foreign Minister Mamoru Shigemitsu, walking with a cane from an earlier injury, leads 11 representatives. They climb aboard in silence, facing a deck crowded with hundreds of Allied personnel, cameras, and the weight of history. General MacArthur emerging. General Douglas MacArthur, appointed Supreme Commander for the Allied powers, emerges precisely at 9 a.m. Behind him stand the commanders who won the Pacific War. Admiral Nimitz, General Wainwright, just freed from a Japanese prison camp, and others who fought from Pearl Harbor to this moment. The ceremony is brief, formal, heavy with significance. Shigemitsu signs first for Japan, his hand shaking slightly. General Yoshijiro Umezu, representing the military, signs next, his face expressionless. Then MacArthur signs for the Allied powers. Signing ceremony, documents being signed by each nation's representative. One by one, representatives of each Allied nation add their signatures. Admiral Nimitz for the United States, General Xu Yongchang for China, Admiral Fraser for Britain. Each signature marks another nation's long journey from war to peace. At 9:25 a.m., the last signature is placed. 6 years and 1 day after Germany invaded Poland, World War II is officially over. Above, 400 B-29 superfortresses and 1,500 carrier aircraft thunder past in a massive aerial display, a final demonstration of the power that brought Japan to its knees. News of the formal surrender flashes around the world. In cities across America, Europe, and the Pacific, millions pour into the streets. The war that consumed the globe, that killed soldiers and civilians alike, that turned science toward destruction, is finally over. The celebrations are jubilant, uninhibited. Strangers embrace, factory sirens wail, church bells ring, but beneath the joy runs a deeper current: exhaustion, grief, the trauma of years lived under the shadow of death. For millions of families, there will be no reunion. Fathers who will never return. Brothers who died on distant battlefields. Children who grew up without parents. The victory is real, but so is the cost. The world that emerges from World War II is fundamentally changed. Cities lie in ruins. Empires are collapsing. Europe, which dominated global affairs for centuries, is exhausted, its empires dying, its cities destroyed. Two new superpowers emerge: the United States and the Soviet Union. The human cost defies comprehension. An estimated 70 to 85 million people dead. 3% of the world's population in 1940. The Soviet Union alone loses 27 million. China, 20 million. Germany, 7 million. Poland loses 17% of its entire population. The Jewish Holocaust claims 6 million lives. World War II reveals humanity's capacity for industrialized evil: the Holocaust, the atomic bomb, firebombing of civilians, mass executions, medical experiments, entire populations enslaved. The war forces humanity to confront what it is capable of and to vow never again. From the ashes, new institutions rise. The United Nations is founded to prevent another global war. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights establishes fundamental freedoms. The Marshall Plan rebuilds Europe. The Nuremberg and Tokyo trials establish that leaders can be held accountable for war crimes. But the alliance that won the war fractures almost immediately. The Cold War begins before the victory celebrations end. The Soviet Union occupies Eastern Europe. Germany is divided. An Iron Curtain falls across the continent. The nuclear age brings a new terror: the possibility of human extinction. Japan, occupied by American forces, undergoes dramatic transformation. Emperor Hirohito renounces his divinity. A new constitution establishes democracy and renounces war. Land reform breaks up feudal estates. Women gain the right to vote. Within decades, Japan will rise as an economic powerhouse.